started writing that book, it was just, you know, you just hear people all the time, well, I don't know why those kids just don't go tell. Why don't they just call the cops? Why don't they just tell the teacher? You got all of this just tell stuff going on. And the truth of the matter is it's so risky. If I'm a kid and I tell you, and you want to do something about it, you're going to go to the authorities or call my parents or whatever grown-up thing you're going to do that I don't understand. If it doesn't stick, I got to go home.
That's right.
And let me tell you, that was never lost on me. You don't tell. You do not tell. The consequences are too bad. They're swift and they're bad.
This is what people just don't get. Even with abused women, let alone children.
Yeah.
You don't tattle on the guards when you're in a concentration camp.
No, you got to make it stick. You got to make it stick. It's my life on the line. Right. You might feel good because I came and told you, and everybody's going to feel good because they got to do this thing for this child. And I'm not saying that it's not necessary. Something has to happen. But it's not that simple. It's just not that simple. And for me to trust is a serious issue.
Yeah.
You don't trust the people that gave birth to you. Why am I going to trust you? Who are you? You don't care about me, not really. You're just some adult that wants to feel good. And we're just that cynical. We are very sophisticated in that thought process. You just want to feel good. At my expense, you're going to feel good. That's probably not going to happen. I know of a case actually right now. These children have been taken away from their parents and placed with their aunt 3 different times. They've been taken away. Their parents do drugs. The mother's been prostituting herself. The children have been exposed to things. The oldest daughter now has a stutter that she didn't have before. The mother's not beating them, but she flicks them. She flicks them with her fingers so much that they've got scars from her doing that. Those kids talked. And what happened? Where are they? They're back with their mother. They're back with their mother and their father. Back in that drug home because everybody says, you know, it's so important to keep the family together. You're destroying those children. They have to have speech classes now. I mean, this is what happens. You want to talk about the cost of what happens to these kids? Now you've got the system involved. So you've got social workers and courts and lawyers. And these people are not paying all this cost. The taxpayers are paying for all of this. Now they know there's a problem with the kids. They're seeing speech therapists and special teachers, and they have to go to Head Start just to get ready to even get themselves into a preschool situation so that they can go to school. They've got all sorts of issues.
Everything's happening except protecting the children.
But they keep putting them back. They keep putting them back where that's happening.
Because it's more important to save the family than it is the people in it.
Yes. Yes. It's all about somebody's feeling good because they're doing all these things. And it makes me crazy because, you know, I was that kid. I would run away from home. I ran away from home and they dragged me back because I was bad. Nobody ever said to me, why are you running away? And I would say, you know, I find myself just wanting to just yell. It's these girls that run away, probably the boys too, but these girls that run away and they're prostitutes. Everybody says, oh, these children, I mean, they're bad girls. You've got a 12-year-old selling her body. Is anybody asking where she learned to do that? 12 years old?
Right.
She's barely even she's not even a teenager. I mean, what is she? She's still a kid. She's 2 years away, a year away from playing with her dolls. But she's out there being a prostitute because that's better than living at home. What does that mean? And why aren't we asking those questions? Because we don't want to hear the answer. Just like some people will tell me, I can't read your book because I don't want to know what it feels like to be that kid. And I mean, and that's the harsh truth. They don't want to know what it feels like. They don't want to know the truth. They don't want to ask the question. And they have to.
They don't want to look at an inconvenient truth.
Right. They don't. So I kind of went off down the rabbit trail there, but
But
that is why I wrote my book. That's why I wrote my book. I just think that people need to understand. When I first started it, if that was where I was going with it, when I first started it, I was just kind of mad because I was sick of that question. Why don't people just tell? And that was what it was. It was just, it's just a rant. This is why. Now maybe you get it. With the first one, I heard from a few people, and I started to understand that this mattered in ways that I had not actually thought about or intended. Because I think that I'm talking to people who don't know what it's like to be an abused kid. You don't get it, so I'm going to be the messenger, right? I'm going to let you know. And by the time the second one had come out, all of a sudden my sales started. This has been a real steady climb as I've gone. It wasn't like this book came out and was just this big flash. It's been very steady and very, and I've got peaks and valleys. But it's been steady. But by the time the second one had come out, I started hearing from people. All of a sudden, it's a responsibility. All of a sudden, I realized the people who are reading my book are not the people I wrote it for. It's people like me.
That want to make a difference.
If they want to make a difference, they want to be understood, they want to be heard. People want to be heard. They just want to be heard. People looking at us and saying, I can't believe this happened. What do you want to talk about this for? That's who you are. Everybody gets to talk about their childhood, good, bad. Kids who got took out behind the woodshed, they weren't really abused, but they got took out there. They get to talk about those stories, but you don't get to tell your stories. We don't get to tell our worst stories because it's just too much for people to hear. We have real war stories, and we've got real scars, and but they don't want to hear it. Because it's too ugly. Well, how do you think it feels to be that person? No, it's just this, it just doesn't make any sense to me when there's all this talk about, making it right and, everybody's wonderful and kumbaya, but they don't really want to hear it, But I hear from people on a regular basis every day. I hear from somebody who thanks me for writing my story, because it's all out now under one cover. I have people contact me and say, I went into therapy. I never told anybody, but I read your book and now I'm in therapy. And I never told my husband. I've been married for 45 years. I sat down and told my husband my story. And he cried with her. She never expected that. Another woman who was married, and I told you that story earlier. It was not looking good for her, now she's got a beautiful baby and she's got a happy marriage. She's a young woman, her whole life was ahead of her, and she was getting ready to toss the whole thing. I've heard from people who didn't kill themselves because, some crazy post I made on Facebook about living your life 15 minutes at a time. You get through anything for 15 minutes, just do that. Just do that, because there's this life waiting for you. And don't wait until you're 50 years old to figure it out. Figure it out now. Have your kids and have your life. And that was stolen from you. Your childhood was stolen from you. Don't let them steal your adult life too. And I would like to beg anybody who's listening to this to don't say it ruined your life either. Because this is your life. This is what you got. And what you do with it is what's going to determine whether it's ruined or not. And I'm here to tell you, I could stand up here and I could point out scars. I've got scars all over my body, physical scars. Some of them are covered up with tattoos, which just makes me cool today. But the truth is, I just refuse to let them steal another day of my life. I just want you to get up and live your life and tell yourself this is over, and what you do from today forward, that's what matters. And don't let anybody tell you you can't. It does not occur to them that it's over, because you're so busy surviving the moment. You see a lot of kids, but the truth is the average age for an adult to get into any kind of therapy for child abuse is 33, 34 years old.
Well, the sad thing about it is that these people that are abused have been told all along that it's their fault.
Yeah.
They've been told all along
look at
that
me.
they have no right or no choice.
I'm going to tell you something else. If they would call it what it is, you're being beat. It's assault.
Yes.
You're being raped. It's not child abuse.
Right.
It's not being molested. It's rape. Rape.
Right.
And why was I told that I was causing that to happen? You know, I was told they raped me too. That's rape. But we don't call that because it's a kid. We don't call it rape. Call it what it is. I always felt so much better even at 33. I was molested and it's not my fault. What I should have been sitting in that room saying was, I was raped. It was assault. People go to jail for that. They go to jail and they're punished. But because you're a kid, it's just, you were just molested. It's such a benign. Today, you know, my book's been out for a couple of years, doing well. When I first started out, I had all women. It was all women. And, which is statistically, you know, that's pretty much what people think, that it's women. I have as many men following me today as I do women. Men that were abused, men that have come on my radio show and told their story, and men who have said they can read my book and they don't find it to be particularly gender specific. They see themselves in there. And I didn't do that on purpose either. So, you know, but I think that's important to point out that it's not just women. Women are certainly, there's a conversation to be had about what happens to women. I do think it's important. I think that men internalize sexual abuse. I think that they internalize it differently than women do, because the majority of predators are men, and it is so they inflict that on women. My father, for example, he molested boys and girls, but he was really quick to call somebody. His favorite word was "you faggot." You know, it was a very derogatory term, but he was doing it to boys too. I know for me, it caused me to be fairly promiscuous because I didn't have any boundaries at all with males, and I think that when it happens to a male, there's some confusion. He's been violated by a male, and he's a male, and it affects his identity in a different way than it affects a woman's identity. You know, if a woman is desired by a male, whether you want that or not, you know, somehow it's a male-female thing. It's still twisted, but it's male-female. But if you got a male-male going on, and you have a young boy who really doesn't have those tendencies, but he starts to question who he is in a way that we are not questioning. One of the groups of people that really struggles is women who were sexually abused by their mothers or other women. And they struggle. They struggle to find acceptance, and they struggle to find groups that they can get into. And what I hear is a lot of the same sorts of things that I hear from a lot of men. It's particularly confusing to them. You know, people are gay for many, many reasons. I really believe that. I think some people are gay because they were just born that way, and I believe that. And other people, from years and years of being in group with other women, particularly women I can speak to, they're gay because they were sexually abused and they just don't want to be touched. So I think that there's there's just this whole thing that is going on out there, and I don't think that we've even begun to touch the iceberg of what this has done to people.
When you let them come on your show, or when you let them blog you or talk to you or be a part of it, they're finding acceptance and understanding. That's something they didn't grow up with. You didn't grow up with that.
No.
That is extremely healing.
Facebook is magical, but there's a whole community out there. When I was going to therapy, I'd be having a bad day. Well, I might have to wait till Thursday and talk to my therapist about this, and it's Saturday. you know, so you got to hold on to it. Today, you can still be in therapy, and I highly recommend that. You know, I push that all the time. I don't think that this is something you should go through alone. But if you're having a bad day or something happened or you had a trigger, you can get online, and there's people there, and they get it. They get it. They'll talk to you. You know, they're not therapists. There are people who lived it. That's so important. It's powerful, powerful. It's been known for years that group therapy is very powerful. Well, you can get on Facebook. There's secret groups. If you can't get yourself into therapy, or even if you can, I'll hook you up with these people. But I have to hook you up with these people. You don't just get in. I know one group, she's got like 1,100 people. And this is her life. She's retired, and this is what she does. She runs this group, and she runs it with an iron fist. There are rules, and you sign in for these rules, and if you break them, it's dealt with. Because, you know, sometimes people are suicidal or, you know, they're just really coming apart. And I've encountered these people that are coming apart at the seams. And all you can do is try to hold them together until they can get themselves. Some people are just holding themselves together while waiting in line to get to a therapist. You know, maybe they don't have any funds and they're waiting for the funds to come free. Or, you know, there's a program, but they have to wait until they're qualified. Well, in the meantime, they're at home contemplating, you know, 17 ways to kill themselves because they can't do it anymore. And that's the unfortunate thing. A lot of these people are in crisis before they get into therapy, before they start to look.
Right.
So these groups kind of hold them together. Well, then you're in therapy. And this one girl I hear from every single day, I'm having a great day. She's been in therapy for like 4 months. She went through a couple of these very private secret groups. And the next day, I feel like the spawn of Satan today. You know, the next day, life is wonderful, you know. And then she's just on this ping pong thing, and sometimes she'll just text and say, I went to therapy for 2 hours today, it was so hard. And I just write her back and say, I know, it's a lot of work to be born again. And she just, you know, she takes that, you know, she just hangs on to whatever she's got. And but that's what we do. There's thousands of people out there all over the world. I've actually talked to people in Iraq. We're talking, you know, countries that really don't appreciate women. You know, they're very different than what we have in America. And I've actually sold my book there to a man who wrote me and said, it was the most profound thing he ever said. That's what he said to me. Yeah. Happens in my country too. I'm so sorry. And I just thought, you know, wow, you know, in a Muslim country. What that tells you is, I mean, there are people. It doesn't matter what time it is. You can go through Facebook and get on, and there's somebody. I'm tapped into about 8,000 people. If you're having a bad day, there's somebody there, and they'll still support you. Shoot, this thing with my neck, you know, the surgery coming up, I felt kind of like a whiner putting it out there, but you know what happened? Hundreds of people, you know, when are you going? It's going to be okay. We're praying for you. You know, it's, you know, I've got 7 gods from 6 countries praying for me.
7 gods from 6 countries.
Yeah. It's, the question is, how do you find help on Facebook? The really easy answer for me is to find my page, Annie O Sullivan, Can You Hear Me Now? And you just post me. There are groups that are called secret groups. The secret groups are very, very private. You can't go out there and just find them. I am a referrer to those secret groups. And the reason for that is I talk to you for, you know, I don't know, whatever constitutes I feel comfortable referring you. What will happen is I will take your contact information and I send it to my contact, and she will contact you or he will contact you, and they'll let you know. It happens pretty quick, and they will integrate you into their group. I don't run any secret groups. I have a public group called Stop Sexual Abuse of Children. There's a lot of people in there. If you're looking for a group and you go to a place like that, you can put the word out. You'll be overwhelmed with answers about where to go. There's a place called Lamplighters. There's SNAP, SNAP, is a men's Christian group that does just fantastic things for men. I don't know if they've branched out into women, but it's important for men to have a place to go. And men, I think, have felt kind of neglected in this. It's not just a women's issue. They need to have a place to go too. If you are a minor, that gets a little sketchy because nobody wants to get in trouble for referring a minor to a secret group. I'll talk to the kids because I get kids because they're coming to me for somehow they got a hold of my book, they've read it, and they find you. They find you quicker than any adult. They are tuned in. And what I will do 100% of the time, I don't just go to their parent. That's not that simple. But I will ask them, is there an adult that I can talk to before I refer you? You know, is there someone that you trust that, you know, I need someone who's can be responsible, because we could get in trouble, I'm sure. You're a minor, and I know what would have happened to me. I know what happened. I know what my family would have done. You know, they'd have lawyers crawling all over everybody. And I sadly think that it's skewed towards going to court and making a big mess out of something that somebody just needed some help. I don't want to discourage any kids that want to be on Facebook. The other side of that is they can get on Facebook, they can lie about their age, they can lie about their gender, they can lie about their name. There's no way for us to know. And that's a chance we take in trying to do the right thing. And I did have a boy who was 17, and his girlfriend was being molested by her father. And I didn't know his real name. And I talked to him for a while, and we talked about, you know, what needed to happen. And he actually had his mother contact me. There's just been really miraculous, wonderful things happen through Facebook and through contact, and people who have never seen each other, and I never knew this boy's real name.
The thing that's difficult for children, when I say children, I mean anybody under 18. I know down in Colorado City, Polygamous,
right,
Warren Jeff's cult, there was a young lady walking along the highway trying to escape. And a truck driver picked her up and he said, are you all right? Obviously she was not.
Right.
So he talked to her and he thought he was helping. He didn't know what to do. So he took her on into St. George and turned her over to the juvenile authorities, who promptly popped her in a car and took her right back to her parents because she was underage.
That's what used to
and
happen
she
to
was
me.
in worse trouble than if she had never left. This story has happened over and over and over. Whenever the child is underage, even if they're being abused sexually or in any kind of trouble, you cannot step in and intercede without the permission of the adult, foster parent, lawyer, parent that has in charge of them. They don't have any rights.
Prior to, the dates escape me, but it was the 60s when the first child abuse laws went into effect.
Right.
Prior to that, you know, the courts, the cops, everybody, it's a family matter. You're talking about something that's just taken years and years to get where we are today. And I think that we're making pretty big strides today compared to what we were in the 60s. And I try to look at that.
Yeah, we are. We're making tremendous strides. But kids that are underage, there's not a whole lot we can do to help them. But there's one thing that most of them won't get in trouble for. And that is giving them really good self-help books from good authors on the subject. And those kids will find out enough to set themselves free.
They do. They look it up. I do know that's a fact. They look it up in the library. These kids, now they just go online.
Well, they're highly motivated because of their pain and anguish. And there's some wonderful authors out there. Well, if the kids can find good self-help books wisdom will set them free. Because what they're seeking is wisdom and self-confidence to set themselves free. That's
knowledge.
Really what, knowledge, yes. And for me, the thing that really changed my life so much that I can't even express it in words was great authors, good books that I read my way out of many dilemmas where I couldn't reach out.
Right.
And way back when I was pretty young. And so that's one way you can help them that's not illegal.
Right.
In summary, aspirations for the future and a message for your audience.
I guess I'm finding that to be a really hard question because I'm looking at this surgery that is a little overwhelming. But on the other hand, the other side of that is there's no reason for me not to believe I'm going to get through it. I've got an amazing doctor. You know, this doctor said to me the first time I went up there, you know, I'm really good friends with my doctor here locally. And then the neurologist that I saw who kind of put all of this stuff together for me actually made my book required reading for his staff because he sees so many abused children. He specializes in children. He made it required reading for his staff because he said this is what these kids are living through before they get here. And so I thought that was pretty cool. But what they had done, that unbeknownst to me, was when they sent all my stuff up, they told my doctor what my story was. That, and he's looking at me and thinking, you know, it could get a little scary looking at me like that. He says, I know your story and I want you to know you deserve this. You deserve this and I want you to know that. And I was like, I started crying. I deserve the surgery to be better, to get my life back. He did.
Okay.
It was pretty profound. So I just want to get through the surgery. My world has become quite small because of my neck. I've been asked by several people about just writing a story about getting to this point to here. It hadn't really occurred to me that there might be a story in here, but just living through the last couple of weeks has sort of changed my mind about that. And I would really like to do some children's books. So I would just like to do as much public speaking as I can, and because because I can. Everybody can't stand up and talk about this stuff, and I know that I can. And I think it's important for people to hear me say, it's not your fault. It's not your fault, and you can get up tomorrow when it's over. And I was lucky enough for somebody to say that to me. My parting words to the world would be, you know, go to bed tonight and be nice to yourself and tell yourself when you get up in the morning you just get to start over. It's your life.
And be nice to yourself from then on.
Yeah.
Treat yourself with respect, always.
Yep, I do.
And don't let anybody else do anything less.
Yeah, because we seem to attract those people.
We do.
We do.
This has been really great. Thank you once again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's so fun. It's always
For
fun.
sharing. It's very educational. People need it. And thank you for what you're doing. Thank you so much for what you're doing.